All right, should be live. It's a late evening. It's like 11:30 Pacific Standard Time. I don't expect anybody to be tuning into this live. I just didn't have another chance or time to be able to do this, so might as well talk about it. For those of you that follow me on Instagram or even on some of the other socials, you might know what I'm going to talk about, and it has everything to do with this post that I posted up on my Instagram. Let me pull it up here. I first reported it on my stories that I was updating Linktree to put my latest episode up, because the way I set up my Linktree, I don't even find my screenshots of what I had. The Linktree showed the top one was the latest episode, so I update that every week. The next one over was a list of the video platforms that I appeared on. Towards the bottom would be a link to all my social media accounts. So basically, it linked over to my website, which had all the iconography of and links to other websites or socials, my real estate resources, and the podcast. So that was basically it. And when I went last night on a Sunday to update my latest YouTube link to my latest episode, this is what greeted me. This account has been removed due to inappropriate use of this service. Like, it could be a mistake, whatever. So I thought nothing of it because must be a mistake. So I went over to my actual Linktree on my Instagram, and it appeared again. Like, okay, so this is what the public would see. So then again, I went over to my actual Linktree landing page. I tried logging in and said, this is what greeted me next. Oh, that's not my face. My face didn't greet me next. I hit the wrong arrow. This one's kind of hiding right here. It said this: sign in to your thingamajig. Your account is no longer accessible. Please contact us with any questions. They didn't suspend me. They terminated me. I'm like, okay, this is pathetic, because there was no warning, and best to my knowledge, there was no violations of terms of service, especially considering that this has been up for, I don't know how many months. How many months have I had my Linktree? All I ever did was just go back and just change the YouTube URL to my latest episode. Everything else remained the same. There was no problem with it since I made it, but there was problems over the weekend. So the first thing I thought about was, that these guys also update their terms of service? Because I didn't get an email on it, and they probably used that as the excuse. They updated terms of service and then immediately went over to just eliminate all these. There was no warning. I checked my junk mail, my email, nothing was coming in. It's surprisingly that everybody's doing it. All the not like the termination part, but probably excusing to terminate eventually. That was like a Dropbox, Google/YouTube. Of course, Twitter was the first one to do so after Jack Dorsey stepped down. But a bunch of other in succession started updating the terms of service, MailChimp and all that. I'm like, okay, something bizarre is going on here. It's not bizarre. I knew what they were going to do. They were just all acting upon it now. For anybody that's followed my channel long enough, you would know I have talked about the big tech censorship and deplatforming. So this was nothing new, honestly. It's just that now they've gone to the extent of, oh, because you had a link to a website we don't want you to see, you're in violation of our terms of service. As I was telling people, and I'm sure Rob Braxman, for those of you that follow the privacy guy, might have known, he's talked about this. Eventually, you'll get to the point where all these big tech platforms don't want you to see what the other one doesn't want you to see. So they probably all share like a same address, just different suite number for their mailing address, right? So all of them are basically passing around the terms of service, so they're in cahoots with one another to control a narrative, create a narrative, and ultimately, as they're the gatekeepers of information, because the majority of the population relies on these services for e-commerce, for entertainment, for socially connected to others, then it stands to reason that they're going to want to keep that environment protected with their own walls. So as the gatekeepers of information, they control that flow of information. If they don't want you to see it, you won't see it. Remember the days that you would do a Google search and you would get like 10,000 hits? And you probably won't go beyond the first page anyway, because like, oh, there's just too many. If it wasn't on the first page, it must not be on Google, despite the fact that there was like 10,000 hits on this thing. Now go to Google and There isn't even enough to populate a page. What happened to the internet? Well, it was scrubbed. We know this. For anybody that's red pilled and awake, they would know what's transpired after January 6th, right? But now it's blanketed to the point where how far away are we from these IP providers, internet service providers, stopping us being able to go to the services that we use that are not approved by these big tech oligarchies? Because that is quite literally the next step. And I committed the sin of having my show on other platforms that these big tech platforms don't like. How do I know? Because after putting it on my stories, I decided to share this on my social media accounts. So I spent time around midnight Monday going around just posting on all my social media accounts. And then I had people reaching out to me, telling me on other platforms, who's like, hey, my Linktree is gone too. So I haven't seen it trending just yet, but I think these people are not aware that their targeted audience is not seeing this just yet. They probably think, oh, it must be a glitch. It isn't until us as the content providers, the content creators, go into our Linktree to be greeted by this. Your account is no longer accessible. So I think that's what's going on, that others that are not as up on things, like just before I fired up this camera, someone that follows me on Instagram that happened to interact with my post, I checked out that person's account, and then like, oh, they have a link tree. So I clicked on the link tree. The link tree opens to the link tree and it gives 3 links. One's to the video platforms, another one to like an Etsy account, and another one to a Teespring. The Teespring and Etsy work. You know what doesn't? The video channels. You click it and you get this this screen grab. Oh, what's going on here? You would get this. So I reached out to them to the comments. I'm like, hey, can you test your side of things? Because I noticed that link isn't working. Because I was curious to check out that person's podcast too, because they host a podcast. And he reached out to me just minutes before I fired up the camera. It's like, dude, yeah, I'm greeted by this inappropriate use of service thing. So this purge was obviously planned, and it is to stop the flow of information to other platforms because there are reasons, right? Ultimately, they just don't want you going there. So how far away are we? Imagine phone providers blocking you from making phone calls to places because someone says that you shouldn't be making those calls. How far away removed are we from that? This has been one of the biggest fears for those of us that have been involved in tech long enough. You know what's also been happening behind the scenes? Because today, Monday, that I'm going live on this Monday evening, almost midnight, man. I was just interacting to make sure that all my platforms where I debuted my episode today, I normally debut around 10 a.m. And I usually choose 10 a.m. because around that time I get a bit of a break. On Instagram, I would do like a coffee break. And I'm doing a coffee break because I'm kind of monitoring all my other platforms to make sure that the video that I uploaded is posting, and if they're premiering, because they do premiere on other platforms, that they're premiering okay. And it tends to be 2 places that I have the most issue with. One that's like a newer video service, but the one main one that I constantly monitor is YouTube, because I would get some interaction there, sometimes live. So okay, I'll be there. But today it was like the weirdest thing. Random videos were being demonetized by YouTube. I'm like, what? What's going on? On my phone, I even took a picture of it. I don't even. I didn't think much of it because the first one that was demonetized was the one that was already monetized. So I'm like, okay, that is odd. All right, you won't be able to see it because of some screen glare, but I'm going to try to get this as big as possible so you can see. So there's, yeah, you could see right there. It says ineligible to be monetized. So that was like, okay, random, because that's a video I wasn't even monetizing in the first place, and it's like 3 weeks old. Why all of a sudden today is it telling me that it's ineligible to be monetized? Well, I refreshed the page and lo and behold, it's monetized. Yeah, well, that was random. But then the video I posted up today, which is an interview that I conducted, which I recommend you check out if you haven't done so, particularly for those of you that are in property management or are looking to become property owners in the city of Santa Ana or anywhere in California that already has a rent stabilization ordinance or doesn't, because it's coming. It was demonetized. It was monetized on Friday, but it was demonetized after it premiered. Like, what happened? Then, like an hour later, it was remonetized. Like, okay. And then another one. Like, okay, something is up. And it looks like there's an algorithm going around that is intending to do something like this. Because I kind of expected that to be, which is why behind the scenes I've been working really hard to do something I didn't really want to do. But because I saw this kind of crap coming, this behavior from the big tech oligarchies, I had to find a place to not just make myself uncancelable, which is why I'm across all these other platforms, but also because I wanted to control my content. It's my content. And now sometimes these guys will block some of my videos and like, dude, where's my video file? Good thing I have backups of it. But some of the older stuff lives on YouTube. And the last thing I want is for YouTube to keep it all, which is why I mirrored everything to Odyssey. So I have a complete library backup constantly being backed up on Odyssey. I have, as much as I've been able to upload, a lot of the stuff that I was forced to take down this year on YouTube, I have it on UMaker, which you can actually access some of it there. Some of it even on Rumble, not so much, but UMaker has been one of my favorite other platforms to use because they have a similar set, besides the analytics, but they have a similar tool set that that YouTube has. You can do live chats, you can do premieres. I think that's really cool. I'm not of the size to do live streams just yet there, but I can do that on Odyssey. So that's interesting for me to be aware of. But I'm going to be announcing. Stay tuned. In the next week or so, I will be announcing what I've been hard at work. It might not be that big of a deal for you. It's a huge deal for me, which is why I've been exhausted having to basically recreate a whole other community out of scratch, it seems, and repurpose a lot of my existing content while also generating new content that will exclusively be there. So due to a lot of this stuff that's been happening, I was even meditating on it today, and it's just this kind of behavior, as others reached out to me tonight, have confirmed it. There is an evolution to my show happening, and it is happening, and it will go into effect for the new year. So for those of you that have been along long enough on this ride for the Andre Segovia show, even before that as the Tech Corner, I want to thank each and every one of you for being around here long enough, because I have to make a choice where I have to leave something behind in order to continue doing what I've wanted to do, but also be unshackled, not be restrained anymore by overlords that were controlling my speech, that were anyways, there's a lot of stuff behind the scenes, so I'll share that when I get my first chance, and when that comes about, you'll see what happens. And like I posted here on Instagram, I'll share with you now the third slide. This is from my mobile version of the browser, which you can also install as an Android app, web app. You can always find the links on my website, www.linktr.ee, where to listen, where to watch, and connect with me. The connect with me are all my socials, where to watch, all the video platforms you can find me on for now, because I don't know how much longer I'm going to be allowed on YouTube also. And you'll really see why in the new year. And of course, where to listen. The podcast section is the part where I'm most widely available. So I'm grateful for that. And I'm grateful for the opportunity that other platforms do exist as well. And of course, for those of us that started on YouTube or have the majority of our audience on YouTube, it's really hard to see us part ways. That's why I've always said I'm not going anywhere. I'm happy to put my show in other places, and I interact as much as I can across them all. But I'm here until I'm no longer welcomed. And I say that to my Instagram audience too, where I've experienced censorship. And you wouldn't think that I'd be censored for something so minimal or whatever, but nowadays there's always something. And I can't make all the sense of it, but well, there you go. So that's where I'll leave it. I want to thank those of you that did tune in live, but those of you that are watching the replay, thank you so very much. I wanted to save this stuff for Tech Talk this Thursday, but I decided to air it a little early, especially since it was on my mind. I was trying to take my stress out while exercising. I exercised for about an hour, and even that still wasn't enough to keep me from just firing up the camera and just talking, because I'm like, well, what if I don't get a chance to record this anyway? So Again, a lot happening behind the scenes. Stay tuned to the Andres Segovia show. Like, share, subscribe, stay and hit the notification bell. Do all you got to do across all the video platforms, wherever you're watching, because I am making a big announcement that it will cost me, but it's the direction where I got to go. And holy smokes, what I'm saying sounds emotional to me because I'm listening to The Expanse, the soundtrack season 2 right now. It's just Clinton Shore's work is so awesome. Power Corrupts. That's what I'm listening to right now. Oh, so good. Expanse season 6. Oh my goodness. I'm gonna have so much to say about that, but that's gonna be exclusive to my new community. So stay tuned for those thoughts because I'm excited to share it all with you. But anyway, until then, thank you so much for tuning in. As usual, I'll see you on the next one. The awkward ending the broadcast button. I've been hitting this button so many times and it just never happens. So might as well come up with a different ending now that I kind of botched that one. Well, I told you that my website, right? There was another thing I wanted to show you. Actually, you know what? Yes, that's true. I did want to show you. There's some more things I'm putting up over here on Instagram. If you missed out, then you missed out. I did a giveaway to check out my stories. I recommend of all the socials, the one I'm most active on is Instagram, particularly because of stories. So check it out. I did a giveaway. I already announced the winner, so I'm going to be delivering to the winner. But tune in because I do intend to do more giveaways coming up. So with that in mind, I'm going to wrap it up there. So thanks so much for tuning in, and I'll see you on the next one. Hit the button.